Whether you're looking for a pump, reservoir, custom GPU block, or a complete loop in a box, AlphaCool's wide range of products can make your next water cooling adventure an easy one. Click the link in the description for more details. And we'll go ahead and start right here in the front of the case, which is probably one of the biggest differences, is it has a piano finish here for the control panel. And I call it the control panel because it's got your audio and mic input, reset button, power. It's got 3 USBs, a USB Type-C connector, as well as fan and LED control buttons. It does have built-in fan and LED modules, and we'll talk about that in a second. But check this out right here on the front. It does actually have 5 1/4 expansion bays, and the way you access them is not by a swinging door, which has always kind of been a point of contention amongst cases that have doors. People either love or hate them, and the reason being is depending what side of the desk they might be on, the door might open in such a way that it blocks your access to it, or it might not even have a chance to open if it swings out at all. If it's in some sort of a cubby, then the door just is a problem. And I've actually dealt with that in the past with some of my older cases that I used. So what Cooler Master's done is they've made this a little flip down. And as this flips forward, it gives you access to the 2 5 1/4 expansion bays, as well as access to the grill so you can blow out dust from your fans and whatnot. And the thing actually comes off pretty easy too with just basic push tabs, and the thing pops off, you can clean it and stick it right back on. But that's pretty neat because no matter where the case is now, as long as you have access to the front of it, you have access to your expansion bays and your fan filters. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the top of the case, which was another point of contention on the original case, Mastercase 5, was the fact that it had enough height to support radiators and all-in-one water cooling loops, but it did not come factory that way. It did not come with the bracket that you needed to mount the radiator. You could mount fans in there if you wanted. Cooler Master has now supported this out of the box. And as you can see, this top piece right here is actually just held on by a magnet, and here is the top of the case. Once again, you also have this little cover right here that opens up a filter. So if you're not using top-mounted fans, which actually is not the way this comes pre-configured, there are no fans on the top. It comes with the bracket right here, as you can see, allowing you to mount your radiator to it. Or if you have the existing Mastercase 5, not the newest version, you can upgrade your old one to these new features. Same thing with the front piece right here, this door that flips forward. You can buy this piece right here separate if you want to upgrade your older case as well. So that's kind of a good thing in my opinion. But it does come with the radiator bracket on top pre-installed, but no pre-existing fans. It does come with 2 140mm fans in the front and a 140mm exhaust fan, so it's supporting positive pressure the way it ships as well. Now moving on to the inside of the case, this is where it's going to be pretty much unchanged. There's not really anything different going on here, with the exception of the fact that it now includes an LED light bar. That is, by the way, magnetic. So you can mount this pretty much anywhere you want because this is a steel case. So it will stick to the top or the bottom, wherever you want to put it. Now when it comes to drive cages, you can expand these. You can buy more to put more in if you want. You can see right here, there's more room. As I make the chicken arm, there is more room right here for you to put another drive cage if you want. But I pre-installed this here with a X-Power motherboard from MSI. It's the titanium version. It's a full-size ATX motherboard. We've got a full-size GTX 1080 in here. I even included a Master Watt 1200 power supply in the bottom here to show that even though it's a mid-tower case, you can fit full-length, high-wattage power supplies and still have plenty of room for the full modular cables right here, as well as have enough room for the bends and even to put excess cables down there that you don't need. And because the case is sitting so far off the ground, even if this was sitting on carpet, you could have the fan on this pointing down so that the power supply is pulling its own air and has its own little air environment without it affecting anything else in the case, which is kind of neat. But you can see right here, there's plenty of room for SLI graphics cards. You've got your mounts right here for your SSD cages. You know, if you've got nice SSDs, you're going to mount them here and you're going to show them off, let's face it. But you also have grommets right here that allow pass-through for your PCIe power cables. So you don't have to try and route them through the back of the motherboard and then make a funky bend. You can come straight up out of here with them if you want, to keep the cable routing more direct and a lot less binding, if you will. If you've got a power supply that's got real stiff cable sleeving, then you know that trying to make sharp bends with them can sometimes be a real pain in the ass. So they've definitely taken care of that. But in terms of water cooling support, because we know that's something I like to take a look at, it does support a 120 on the back or potentially a 140 radiator if it's not too thick. If it's too thick, it might interfere with the side right here. So you definitely would want to check clearance before you do that. On the top, it will fit a 240mm radiator and some 280mm radiators, once again, if they're really thick. not in terms of thickness, but in terms of width. Sometimes they have extra width on them. Then it may not fit. So once again, you want to check your clearance on that. But if you do remove this drive cage right here, then you have access to install another 240 or 280 millimeter radiator on the front. So you can actually fit two 280s in this thing, which means you would have more than enough radiator to actually cool a CPU and 2 graphics cards if you wanted. And then you could even mount your small like Lang DDC pump down here on the bottom, run tubes up through here if you wanted, or mount them right here on this mid tray and get rid of the SSD trays if you wanted to. So there are some flexibility options on there when it comes to water cooling. Given how much you can actually fit in here, that it's, even though it's a mid-tower case, is, I think, kind of a big deal. I might actually have to try doing a full custom water cooling loop in this in the future just to see how much you can fit in there. Now, in terms of graphics card support, you can see right here I have a full-length 1080 in there and it fits no problem, but it does get kind of close to the hard drive cage. So if you are going to leave the hard drive cage installed, you're not going to be able to fit big, giant behemoth graphics cards like this Zotac Amp Extreme because, as you can see, it does impact on the cage and I cannot install it. But if you did get rid of this cage, and let's say you only had your SSDs here and a couple of hard drives that you can mount down here on the bottom, you can take this cage out and then you can put any length graphics card in there. Dual length graphics cards like the 295X2, the Titan Z, whatever, long graphics cards would fit in there without any sort of problem. Now moving on to the back of the case right here, this is where you start to see some really nice built-in features. They've got a recessed channel right here with Velcro straps allowing you to run your cables through here without binding up and getting too thick for the back panel to actually slide back on. If you've ever built a computer and you know that you have a lot of excess cable, if there's not a lot of room between the motherboard tray and the back case panel, then you know that sometimes getting them to fit could be a problem. You've also got plenty of room right here to actually put cables if you need as well, or you can stuff them down here in the bottom. But as you can see right here, it also includes this module, which is the LED and fan control module, which is used by those buttons on the front of the case, which I already showed you. So it's got specific LED mountings right here. You've got 4 of them, so you can add additional LEDs to this, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fan slots that are going to support 3-pin fans, so you can control the fan speed on the front of the case without having to use software or anything like that. This is also something that's available separate from Cooler Master if you want to add this to another case. So you can definitely keep that in mind. But look at the size of this motherboard cutout right here. There's going to be no problem getting to the back of your motherboard to do things like cooler installations, water block installation, no problem whatsoever. But all of that is nice. But none of that is what I think is the coolest accessory yet for this case. And let me show you that right now. Now, like I said earlier in this video, I like side panels. But the problem is, usually they're made out of some sort of acrylic or soft plastic and they scratch really easy. You spray them with Windex, you wipe them with even a soft microfiber or cotton, and they scratch. Over time, there's swirl marks everywhere, and then your LED lighting, all it does is light up and accentuate all of the scratches in your side panel. Well, Cooler Master has actually come up with a replacement side panel here that you can purchase, which is a tempered glass. This is actually a glass side panel, and it looks freaking amazing. Because you know, or maybe you don't know, glass side panels actually do not scratch very easily, and it even has this key right here that you can use to lock the panel in place so it's not going to accidentally fall and break. And as you can see, then your entire side panel is become glass and not just the portion of the window that shows like on the plastic side panel, because as you can see, the plastic side panel here still has that frame. The tempered glass one does not. And this thing looks phenomenal. Yeah, I'm actually gonna now probably look at doing tempered glass for Skunkworks because it looks amazing. Unfortunately, it weighs like a metric butt ton. Not that heavy, obviously, but it is heavy. Now, it is a tempered glass, which means if you drop it, it's going to shatter. So be careful with it. We're going to be taking a look at the whole line of Maker products. They've got keyboards now. They've got the power supply, which I've already showed you. It's got some really neat smart app functions so you can actually see what's going on with your computer and power usage live on a smartphone if you've ever wondered how much power your computer is actually using. So we're going to be taking a look at all kinds of stuff. And because of this tempered glass, I wasn't sure if I was going to actually do a full build in this, but the tempered glass side panel alone made me go, that's an elegant bitch right there. I definitely need to build that. So I guess we're gonna see. I think this with good LED lighting and some sort of like a rigid tubing bend and a nice bright fluid, maybe something like a bright purple or something, might look really, and not purple because that's Cooler Master's color, but Pink has already been done by Kyle, and I've already done things like red and orange and blue, and I'm doing green in Skunkworks. I don't know. We'll see. This is a bad looking case once you put that tempered glass panel on, so I guess we'll go from there. Anyway, guys, sound off in the comments or hit me up on Twitter to let me know. Did they nail this one? Did they hit it out of the park? Or do you think there's still some changes that need to be made? Sound off. Obviously, they're listening. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I will see you in the next video.